Hello to those of you who tune in post live feed. I'm going to do some daily race action now. Specifically at Dragon Trail 2 in the Porsche, daily race B. There's 11 minutes 54 seconds to go before the race starts. I've already set a pretty decent lap time, but I just wanted to talk through the lap itself. This is maybe something you guys can learn. So, heading here into turn 1, you want to brake just at the 100. Sometimes you can use first gear to get the rotation, but you have to be super smooth on the exits. It's one of the more difficult corners. This is a fantasy track, Andrew. What's happening, man? Now we're going to head to the chicane, or as Super GT puts it, the chicane of death. Now the thing is, you can either lift and coast through here, or brake and accelerate through. So, okay, that was obviously not good because I was talking. You've got to maximize the exit. That defines a lot of your lap time. Brake at the curb here, brake aggressively and slow it down so you can rotate the car and get it as straight as possible so you can get on the power early for the exit. A lot depends on how you exit that corner. Now coming to sort of fast S's. Here you can just do a small lift, clip the curb. Don't do too much. I tend to coast through here, accelerate lightly, brake a little bit down to third, and then just watch out on the exits. Whoa, you don't want to go too wide there, otherwise you're guaranteed going to spin. Brake just after the curb starts, first or second gear to get the rotation. Be careful of the wheel spin on the exits. Let's see if I have some traction. No, I don't. Brake balance is -1, and here's one of the most difficult corners on the track. I'm braking early here. The key is that if you brake too late, you're going to be offline here, and all the time you're trying to gain going in, you lose on the exit. So rather go in slower so you can get in the power early, because you want your straight to start before the apex of the last corner. Then hug the curb here and stay to the middle of the track to connect the next lap. However, if you feel on a good lap, don't go to the middle of the track, stay to the inside. So yeah, we're going to brake. You can see the sort of dark line there. That's the rubber. That's where you want to be. If you're off that, you're going to get nasty wheel spin and exit oversteer, and you're going to lose all your time heading to the chicane of death. Use the curbs as much as you can. I brake there a little bit, then maximize on the exits, and then brake just where this curb starts. Was probably a bit too late, but at least I was straight on the exit, so I don't lose that much time. This is one of my favorite tracks in the game, in the history of the game, of Gran Turismo. I think it's got everything: high speeds, high risk, slow speeds. Really good for driver training. I use this a lot to practice my techniques. Rotation in high speed corners is not so easy, because you don't have many tools at your disposal. It's easier to rotate a car when you can use braking, steering and throttle. When you only have one of those or two of those elements, like just throttle and steering, it's more difficult to pull out the lap time. This corner, it's easy to make mistakes because it's blind, but going slowly, small lift sometimes. Don't go wider than that, that's the limit. Rev out the car. Now if you're on a good lap, you stay to the left to minimize track usage. And then cross over after the finish line. 39.9 is really slow, but that's what happens when I talk like this. Okay, stay to the inside. See that snap oversteer? Wasn't perfectly straight on the exit, and that makes the difference. Heading to the chicane of death now. I wonder how this would work in real life. Formula E it's possible because they're going so slowly, but no ways you're going to get there 200 kph. See, I'm trying to carry speed through like classic karting line, and it worked this time because I made a mistake in the last lap, but look at the time I lose on the exits. So I was carrying speed into the corner and I gained 0.2, but I lost 0.2 on the exit from the guy, which is me, who was trying to do a deep V. Just float through here, a little bit too wide. You want to use the curbs in this section of the track to help turn the car. And believe it or not, but that's pretty realistic compared to real life. It's maybe a little bit exaggerated in the game. First gear in this car is in actual gear. It's not a pull-away gear. I'm in the 911, obviously. For those of you wondering why I don't use the Ferrari, it's because the handling in this game for the Ferrari and most mid-engine cars is shocking. I don't know who set it up, and it feels nothing like the real thing. You can watch some of my 458 GT3 onboards, the real life ones, via the onboard playlist on my channel, and you'll see that it's much easier to drive compared to the beast in this game. So you use first gear if you've overshot the corner and you need to get back to it in the race. Obviously it's not going to give you the best lap time, but that's what you do there. So the car that feels the most similar to the 488 in real life is the car I'm driving now. So you could say that the physics are questionable. Oopsie, that's meant to be fourth gear corner. But this car, with its benign handling, is what you experience in GT3 racing. So, you know, there's that. Here again, so I didn't quite get the entry right, so I lost a 10th, but I gained it on the exit. And that's key. Roll in here, clip the curb, stay close to the left, and you want to try and get on the power as early as you can on the exit to run up the hill. So I'm gaining a lot of time there. Onto the back, well, the final part of the sector, and now the aim is to not screw up this last corner. Okay, so 2 days ago, before everyone discovered that the Toyota was the quickest car around here, my 38.6 was good enough for a top 10 overall in Europe and UK, and I think the second quickest Porsche behind TRL AUG. So I would like to check that Toyota out. That snap comes just because I haven't rotated the car properly. This is key, especially in high horsepower cars, and this is one of the fundamental driving principles in real life in GT racing, is to get the car to rotate and get it pointed straight so you can get on the power as early as you can. Way too much on the exits. It's funny how the sector detector works. 2 tenths up, sliding sideways. Okay, 4 minutes to go before the race starts. I'm hoping to start within the top 5 because I've done my homework around here. Slow down here, flip the curve there. To those of you who watch this later, and to some of you who may have been new to the channel and just tuned in, I just want to welcome the new subscribers. Big thanks to Super GT for sending you guys my way, and I appreciate you tuning in, just watching what I have to share. It means a lot. And I hope you gain some value learning from a sort of GT racer's perspective what it's like in real life compared to the game. For those of you who don't know me, which I'm sure there are many from your audience, I started in Gran Turismo first and became a racing driver later. In 2010, I think, I tried to win the GT Academy, and because of I finished third in the sort of preliminary stuff, third in Europe, and I think fourth in Europe and 7th in the world or something. But because I was based in South Africa, I didn't qualify for anything. But I do technically come from Gran Turismo first and then became a racing driver second. So there is that. There is that sort of connection that I have to this game. And I love other simulators. I love Assetto Corsa, especially the new one, which I happen to be in, which is absolutely ridiculous. You can actually choose Perel as a driver. I mean, that to me is the dream. I'm such a massive video game fan. So I do love those games, and I hope to get a PC one at some point, and I'll be streaming some of my PC experiences next year. But for now, I'm 100% a Gran Turismo fan on the PlayStation. If you go to my website, davidperel.net/sim, you'll see the 3 games that I played the most, which is Gran Turismo, Assetto Corsa, the first one from PS4, and the last one is surprisingly that I use is the Formula 1 game, F1 2017 or 2018, and that's purely to practice my sort of reactions and my starts. Because in real racing, especially when I was doing karting, I used to crash a lot at the starts, and that all changed when I started to use the Formula 1 game as a method to learn how to not crash. Because it's really easy to crash in that game at the start. There's like a lot going on. So once I started using that game, I started to realize that there was chicane of death. There is value even in the bad simulators. You can use it to learn something about your racing. Good question. I wouldn't say 100%, but not so bad. I mean, I used this Porsche to learn how to brake in a different style that I now use in real life. I used to brake very aggressively, but now I brake much more progressively softer, and I learned all of that in Gran Turismo Sport. In this car specifically, it was all about how you introduce the car to your next action. This is a whole concept which I learned from a driver trainer called Rob Wilson. So no simulator is super accurate, to be honest. There's just too many forces that you feel in real life that you cannot portray, even in iRacing, which is not a bad game by any means, but for me it's my least favorite. It may be the quote-unquote most accurate simulator, but I'm not convinced. So, oh, that was a pretty good exit. So yeah, it is close enough that you can learn things with this game that I wouldn't have been able to do if I just sat on my hands and did nothing. That's why I play these games sort of 90 minutes at least per day. 90 minutes to 1 hour, 2 hours. But overall, stoked. Pole position, but not 100% prepared. I've been talking too much, so I think in this warm-up race I maybe won't talk as much because I would like to start off the day with a decent result. Excuse me. But yeah, realistic enough to use it. The heater is on in this room and it's absolutely cooking. Realistic enough for me to use it for real life. Yeah, the physics are decent. There are things that happen in the game which happen in real life, but there are also things which don't. For example, curb usage in the game is a little bit too forgiving. You can really ride the hell out of these games. Excuse me. You can ride the hell out of these curbs and nothing happens. Whereas in real life, for example, at Monza, if you hit a curb aggressively at Monza, your suspension is going to go through the tub. I'm talking about those like orange sausage curbs. Here you can ride over them as if they don't exist. The sausage curves. So there are elements that you have to be aware of. But there's things like sometimes in the game, if you gear down too aggressively, you lose time because the rear snaps, and that happens in real life. So with a sequential gearbox in real life, the timing of your downshifts is actually quite important to how the car reacts under braking. And we don't brake and shift down the same for each corner. Medium speed corners, it's like bum 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 like that, and the sort of tighter corners is bum bum bum, you know, to really like maximize the braking force and help trying to use the gearbox as much as you can. Yeah, in iRacing you do get damage, but they exaggerate it. They go too far the other way. So yes, you don't use the curves, but if you clip a curb in iRacing, it's almost like a wheel drops down in the middle of the car and you immediately spin. That doesn't happen either. I don't think Assetto Corsa, I'm trying to help them there. I don't think it's 100% accurate yet in all the games. The nature of how a GT3 rides curbs, it also changes from car to car. For example, the Bentley is much better at riding curbs than the Ferrari. The Bentley has suspension which is developed by M Sport, and M Sport is the rally team, so they're naturally going to have good damping, good suspension. Whereas the Ferrari prefers to be flat, in other words, it relies more on the aero. So when you ACC. Okay, so let me just keep quiet for the first 2 laps to get my eye in. I'm a little bit worried about the chicane of death, and I don't know. I know Oscar, who's in 3rd place. In other words, I've raced against him, but I don't know this BMW. So I'm just gonna work out how things go here, and then I'll probably. I mean, I always say I'm not going to talk, and then I'm talking the whole time. But here we go. Was close to the wall, too close for my liking. So what's cool about Assetto Corsa is that I help them improve the sound of the braking. So in Assetto Corsa, when you hear the ABS activate, that came from my own recommendation. I'm talking about the new Assetto Corsa Competizione. So I'm really proud to have contributed to that game in a small way. I also help them with sometimes with feedback on like how the car behaves on certain curbs at certain racetracks. So I really want to make the tracks, or help them make the tracks as accurate as possible, so real racers can use the game to learn the track properly. At the moment in most games you use the game to just learn where the track goes, you know. But if they can get the curbing exactly right and the canvas, then it would be even better. Oh, understeer because I got on the power too early and I didn't wait for the rotation. SRC, what's happening, buddy? Nice and close. Oh. Luckily, if you make a mistake in the chicane here, there's only one line through it. So you can defend, but that was really bad. Still need to warm up. Excuse me, in race conditions and try and get through there without dying. That was close to death though. The first lap was close to death by hitting the inside wall, and that one was basically death by hitting the outside wall. So consistency and alertness is not there yet. I suspect the M6 is going to try and make a move here, so I needed to run defensive. Make sure I keep him on my left side. This is okay for now because, well, the next corner is to the left. Somehow we both managed to survive without taking each other out there. I'm a bit of a crasher in this game, I must be honest, but it is getting better. So I don't mind that he's going to the inside. Because there's multiple lines around there as long as you've done enough practice, which I have. That was much better, but he's still very much in my slipstream and under threat in the next corner. So the nice thing about Daily Race B is there's no tire wear or fuel mileage concerns, which means I can focus purely on my driving and any weak spots I have in my racing ability and just isolate those problems instead of worrying about dynamics in the game which aren't necessarily relevant to real life. Yes, I've driven the 488 in ACC quite a lot because they were at some of the Blancpain races which I was at during the pre-alpha phase, and I was able to give them feedback. That's when I told them about the braking. When you brake in a real-life car, racing car, GT car at least, there's a lot of noise from the braking. It's like grumbling, like noise. Sorry about that. Sound effects probably don't come across so well here. And they weren't portraying that. Nice little tap from him there. Hopefully he doesn't get a penalty. He doesn't deserve one. So, look at that. I did the best lap while I was talking crap. Hang on, let me just get through the chicane. That was decent. So that was the first thing I told them. I said, guys, when we brake in real life, we experience a lot more different forces and inputs that you don't portray in the game. So in ACC, you can adjust that volume as well. It's very loud in real life. It's quite soft in the game, but you can adjust it. Mate, I don't use the I don't use the radar because you don't have a radar like that in real life. You have a rearview mirror, which is actually a camera, and that's about it. Whoa, BMW almost spun out there. And the rearview mirror in this game, that's sort of second nature. It's second nature to keep it like your third eye, if you want, a hypothetical third eye on it. So your peripheral vision. It's trained me really well for the real thing. In real life, where I do keep a sort of one eye on the radar, on the rearview camera. On the rearview camera, and that's why I stick with it for this kind of stuff. And I don't use the radar unless I'm in an FIA race, which is on a Wednesday or Saturday. And that's just because I really want to win the FIA races, but I use the daily races for normal training. Somehow I've managed to pull a lead and set fastest lap. And I won't have a clean race. This is one of the worst, the more terrible races that I've done. I am on the wheel, yeah? Do you mean as opposed to using a remote? I don't think I would learn much from the remote. Yeah, this view here is not quite what you see in real life. What you perceive in real life, you look so far ahead that you don't see the cockpit. But for whatever reason in Gran Turismo Sports, it's like looking through a letterbox. So I don't like this view very much. I prefer the outside view. Much more, actually. I don't like the other camera angle I mean, I raced in the GT40 in the FIA race, and you could see so much out of the car that I stuck with it, and I really enjoyed it. But I definitely do not. I don't use it normally. The faster the car, the more I prefer the view that you saw now. Oh, 180 wins. Stoked. Really stoked. Thoughts on Qubitzer coming back? It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I know Kubitz's best friend. His name is Matteo. Matteo raced with me at Kessel last year, and he told me a lot of the details about the deal, the reason why Kubica wasn't in the car this year. There was a lot of factors. It had nothing to do with his speed. I can tell you this was relative confidence. So yeah, man, of course. Andrew, in GT racing, there's a lot of connections to Formula 1, buddy, especially with Kessel Racing. Kessel is one of the biggest Ferrari teams in the world, and they have the biggest Ferrari dealership in Europe, car dealership. So I'm like 2 steps away from F1 if you want. In fact, I know the Ferrari F1 test driver in the simulator. His name's Davide Rigon, and he's so close to the F1 that when we were in Japan racing together this year in Suzuka, after the race I pointed out that Sebastian Vettel had won the race, and he immediately picked up the phone and phoned Sebastian to say congratulations. So, you know, these guys, they share some really cool stories about what goes on in Formula 1. I think Kubica deserves a shot. I think Sorokin was very good, considering everything. But I also think that Kubica would have done a better job overall because he's more experienced and wouldn't have maybe crashed as much. That being said, the Williams was a total dog this year, and anyone who judges those drivers based on the car they had to drive is just naive to how influential the car is. I mean, McLaren stopped developing their car I think after Bahrain, and you can see Alonso's now finishing bottom 15 despite being one of the most talented racing drivers of all time. So my hope is that Kubica or Williams produce a much better car next year because it's new rules. Whoa, lots of rubber there on the outside. And he's able to show his talent more. Well, he has lots of talent. Kubica is phenomenal. The times that he's driven GT cars in private testing, he's always been one of the fastest guys. And this is the thing many people don't understand about Formula 1 drivers is they may not excel 100% in Formula 1, but everyone thinks that these guys are bad drivers. The truth is, they are truly some of the best in the world. Even Lance Stroll, if you put him in any other series, he would beat the drivers in those series. And no one understands this. They're like, Magnussen can't drive, or Grosjean, or Lance Stroll is just there because of his money. Lance Stroll, and by the way, he's not my favorite driver, full disclaimer. He won every series he entered leading up to his Formula 1 career seat. And I don't care who you are, to win any of those series, if I won Formula 3 European Championship, you know how stoked and proud I would be. No matter the circumstances, it's not easy to win at these levels, especially in karting, which he won in as well. And yes, he did a lot of testing, but guess what? All those drivers do a lot of testing. Same in Formula 3. So, okay, he's not the best Formula 1 driver, but he's still world class. I don't necessarily like him. Van Duen also, I think that there was something psychological going on there, which is Alonso's really good at destroying his teammates psychologically. You know, but at the same time, I think Van Duen is also completely switched off from Formula 1. He's so tired of the bad car and the politics. The car just makes such a big difference in F1. That being said, Hamilton, Alonso, Schumacher, they are definitely able to make the most of a bad car. So you give them a great car, like Hamilton has now and Schumacher had in his time, I and they utterly crush the competition and dominate because they're able to extract so much out of the car. I just want to say something about Rosberg. I just want you to look at how Bottas is doing and compare that to how close Rosberg was to Hamilton. Yes, he most of the time came out behind Hamilton, but the margin was much smaller compared to how bad, well, relatively badly Bottas is doing. And again, Bottas has destroyed all his teammates. He won many races in the junior series and finished either first or second in the championships. But Hamilton eats him for breakfast, you know. Doesn't mean that Bottas is a bad driver. Remember, this is racing is mostly a psychological game, because the difference between the best driver and the worst driver is maybe 1.5 tenths of a second. Okay, then you get exceptional drivers like Alonso and Hamilton, and they pull out maybe another tenth. So 2.5 tenths of a second is separating the best from the worst in Formula One. So it's not a matter of speed. They all have the speed. And this is true for any racing series. It's not about the speed, it's how you put it all together, how you deliver the full package, not just on the track, but off the track. And those things make a massive, massive difference. So I think that even if Kubica is 1.5 tenths slower than George Russell, his ability to put the package together off track is what will define the difference between the two in a championship overall. And remember, these teams live and die by those points in the championship because they get paid for where they finish. Now at the moment, Williams took the money from Stroll and from Sorokin and ended up losing so many points in the championship because they're two relatively inexperienced drivers. Now, I think that, and they chose Sorokin over Kubica this year because of money. It's pretty clear to me that next year they're taking a different approach. They're going with two more respected drivers. George Russell is a phenomenal talent. Kubica doesn't bring as much money as Sorokin could bring, and that in turn means, I think, more points next year. So they'll fill the budget deficit. Instead of drivers paying for their seats, they're going to try to pay for that deficit with points on the board. And to me, that is a better way of running a Formula One team. It doesn't necessarily work that well in GT racing series. In GT racing, it's a different story altogether. I don't even know what lap times I did there. I was talking so much. Okay, we are halfway through the stream. I'm hoping that we get a good race here. That one with the BMW was pretty cool. I was pretty stoked with my mover on the outside and sticking it. You could argue that I moved a bit too late on the braking on the second last lap. So maybe I'm willing to admit that maybe I got a little bit lucky there. But a win's a win. So that's one thing that surprised me about simulator racing is people are much more sensitive here. Like much more sensitive to bumps and all that, and barging. I mean, in real life we bang doors all the time. The only thing you have to stress about is the cost of the damage. I mean, you are mindful of these things, especially when like in my rookie years when I was paying to race myself, I had to be super mindful about how much damage I was doing to the car, because that meant that I had to end up paying for the damage. So even, I mean, like in a Ferrari 488, the door is like 10,000 euros. Maybe a little bit less. The diffuser is 15 at the rear, the front one's 25. All these things is so much money, like extreme amount of money. You don't want to bump anything. But then you race against a factory driver who, yes, is mindful because they don't want to crash, but is not as mindful about the budget and the cost of damage. And they'll bang doors with you, no problem. I can't say I'm at that point yet, but whew, compared to racing online where you don't go for moves, which in real life is like an open door. In the online world, if the door opens, you think, A, okay, the door's open. B, what happens when he turns in on me? Am I going to get a penalty? Is he going to lose his head about me turning into him, etc.? So you have to be super careful about these things. I think the next time we drive, I'm going to try the Supra over here. Is it a Supra? I want to try get into a different group, qualifying group, because I think the moment we're mixing it with A+, A's and B's, I want to see if we can get it to an A+ and S group. Not to say that this is easy by any means. This car behind me is definitely faster. Okay, let's go. Why did I go in there so slowly? Oh my god. Cheers. I also have a feeling that the Lexus is quick in this particular daily race, but no one seems to have put it in the top 10 yet. Unfortunately, at the moment, this guy behind doesn't quite have the pace, which can make the racing a bit boring, but I'll use this opportunity to hit my apexes. Let's see if it's possible for me to concentrate at all while live streaming. If any of you are wondering if I'm doing the FIA races tomorrow, the answer is unfortunately not. I have to attend a Blancpain Awards evening, and the time I have to go is the same time that the FIA races start, which is a shame because I ended my last FIA race with a podium and I wanted to capitalize on that sort of momentum, but it's not going to happen this weekend. Which is why I'm live streaming today, sort of make up for it. And to be honest, I got so many subscribers last night, which I'm grateful for that. I feel like I should be putting out a video at least for the time being so they can watch something. I mean, I know my videos are longer than others, but I don't have the equipment yet because I don't have a PC to do a proper sort of live stream with voiceover and video editing. I'm capable of doing those things, but for the moment I don't have the gear yet. But I'm looking forward to getting it. So far so good. Lapping consistently at least, for now, hitting my apexes. which is what I wanted to do, and pulling away from the guy behind. Long left. Two laps to go. So after this we're definitely going to try something different, just for the sake of fun. Oh, that was almost a penalty for cutting. I really enjoy this track. This track in circuits, is it Magione? The fake Mugello, as I call it, because it looks like it's based in Florence. If I was going to build a racetrack though, it wouldn't be Dragon's Tail, it would be the Circuit Magione. But this is still my favorite one between the two. I just think you can do more in real life with Circuit Magione. So one day when I'm a billionaire, that's the track I'm building, just so you know. This lap was not nearly as consistent as the last one. I hit my apexes, but I wasn't carrying the same speed. But, so what? Keep pushing, as racing drivers say. Time in the chicane, but lost time into that left-hander idiot. These little details, they matter, to me at least. For those of you who are wondering what sim setup I use, you can check out my page, my website. I've created a new page which details what I'm currently using. It's a Thrustmaster steering wheel and pedals, T-Racing headset, and a play seat, Alcantara GT Sport. Ah, bang! Look at that consistency. GD, what's it? A play seat. Yeah, the GT, the Gran Turismo branded one. I used the combination of those ones. Yeah, DJ, that's 100% true. The main thing is that we try to maintain the rolling speed, which you should do in sim racing as well. So even if you miss the apex, you need to figure out ways to continue that momentum around the corner. Watch some of Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel's pole position laps. They don't always hit the apex, but they have the rolling speed. So that's something that we try and do in real life as well. Even if we're slightly offline, you can improvise with the gearing and stuff like that to keep that rolling speed up. Let's thank this guy. Yeah, so in sim racing, perfection actually counts for more. But I just quickly need to go get some water. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, so sorry about that. I keep forgetting the water in the kitchen. So in sim racing, you're much more sensitive to the delta time, which is updated on the millisecond, whereas in real life it's updated sort of, I think, every 250, 500 meters. So you're not as aware of like the smallest little slide or running a little bit wide as you are in the sim racing. So that's another thing that sim racing makes us better at. It's at perfecting those little mistakes that you sometimes ignore in real life because you think, there's a lot more distractions in real life in terms of the feeling of the car. It feels like you still have the momentum, but you don't realize that you've lost just a little bit of lap time. What is the GR Super Racing concept? There we go. Gotta admit, not a massive fan of this car. Probably gonna bottle it. But, whatever. I have 1.5 laps to learn it, plus the sort of pre-race out laps. So I wouldn't try too much to drive like sim races. I mean, like real life races in sim. Because the real life races don't always excel at sim racing. Sim racing is a different discipline. It takes a lot of precision. Good sense of timing as well. The top sim racers have a really good sense of timing, and a lot of people ask me what that means. That means that they know exactly at what point of releasing the brakes, when to turn the car, how to rotate the car around the apex, when to get on the power. Those little details matter so much in this game. But in real life, so many styles make a difference, where, as in sim racing, you'll see it's mostly the smooth guys who are at the top. This thing's got power. Have I got traction control? No. I really don't like that. The car looks terrible. I really don't like the design of this car. Okay. Oh my god, hello understeer. Lots of understeer, but clearly this car does something, because it's at least half a second quicker than the Porsche on the billboards. Oh my gosh. I can't even feel it in the force feedback when I go over the curves. But it has really good braking performance, but weaker traction performance, and I think the acceleration is better, only slightly. I suspect that this is where the lap time is being found. And this car feels like it has more torque compared to the Porsche. Gets up the hill quicker. Let's see how far off I am from my best Porsche time on my first flying lap. Not a smooth lap at all. lap time initially. I think I can do that corner in third gear. Gran Turismo is very sensitive to gearing. Short shifting, long shifting. All these things matter in this game. More so that, I mean in terms of acceleration and rotating the car. Gran Turismo use the gear down to rotate the car. Okay, so that is a second gear corner. A little bit too much turbo lag. Fighting understeer at the moment. That just means I haven't sussed out exactly how to get the rotation right. Gran Turismo is a naturally understeery game, except for those little mid-engine cars like Ferrari and Audi. That's a nice apex though. Short shift to third this time. Use the in-gear acceleration. Gaining that much lap time. Hey David, thanks so much for watching. Great name, same name as me, which must be a good sign. Okay, so into third gear, still got the understeer. Whoa! Not as easy to extract lap time, but I'm sure once I get the hang of it, I'll see the benefit as to why the other guys are so much faster on the overall leaderboards. Every lap will just get better and better, but wow, 1:39.7. Oopsie. Let's see how I beat this car up. Yeah, the last one I exited in third gear, so I gained at least a tenth of a second. But I really want to be in a different group. My aim was to only stream for 1 hour, but we're going to do the full 90 minutes. This is, oh, there you go. That guy's much quicker than me. Okay, this is all A's. Mostly all A's. That's usually, it's always nice. Do any of you guys, are any of you guys aware of the GT Sport, the companion app? GTS Companion. I obsess over this thing. It gives me all my stats. I can brag and tell you my stats, but I'm just going to keep quiet. Let me first try win this race in a different car. So I think we've had 2 from 2 now. Let's try 3 from 3. But I have to try and beat this PTR pro guy from Spain. Ominous. 16 cars in this race. It's a good field. But again, excuse me, I just don't want to land up backwards. Oh, and SRC is back in the BMW M6. Whew. So if he's doing 38 threes, it means 39 low is very easy for him in terms of racing lap time, because you always got to give or take a second. And at the moment, the best I could do was 39.7. Let me just go out and waste as much time as possible, 47 seconds to continue to learn this car. Brake bias is where I want it, is it? Yes it is, because this thing understeers so much. So it actually understeers on the entry. It's very benign and stable on the entry, so I could go more rear bias. The exit oversteer is a result of the entry understeer. Whenever you're looking to set up a car, and this is very important, always ask what happened first. Because what happens at the exit of the corner is always the result of something that happened at the beginning. If you have exit oversteer, always ask yourself, did I understeer going in? Very, very, very important. Very important. If you understeer on the exit, it could be that you oversteered going in. Brake balance is -1 at the moment. I think, yes, -1. So I'm at the rear. No, it's not just you. There's something wrong with my there's something wrong with my settings, which I'm not sure yet how to adjust. So I apologize for now. I will try to adjust it after this race. What? What happened to pole man? He bailed out. No man, I didn't want to start on pole for this one. I really wanted to challenge that guy. Okay, so yeah, I'm at, sorry, +1. This game is backwards. Front should be +1, rear should be -1. I'm gonna go -2 for now. And the reason I get snap oversteer into the hairpin after the chicane of death is because I'm gearing down too aggressively. So some people may confuse that for brake bias, but it's actually your gearing. Thanks so much, Jimmy. I genuinely appreciate it. It's not died through here. I've always wanted to try to portray to sort of sim fans, how much I appreciate sim racing and how much of a fan I am in it. Because I'm one of the few drivers who believe so much in the transfer of ability and knowledge from sim racing to real racing. I've been using sim racing since I was in my karting days. I realized with Gran Turismo 1, 20 years ago, I think. Is it 20 years ago? I don't know. I was 15 when I started karting. I'm 33 now, so 18 years ago. Okay, let me just stop talking for a lap at least, because I have no idea what I'm doing with this car. The guys are much, much, much closer compared to when I drive in my favorite Porsche. The guy bumped me by mistake. That was a mistake from his side, but whatever. No, I'm not giving you the inside. You have to do what I did earlier. Whoa, who's bumping us now? Much more intense race. What is that, a Subaru? Is that a Scooby? Okay. Obviously, I am not as fast in this car as I was in the Porsche. Still managing. Trying to get the rotation in the same method that I did in the Porsche, but it's not working. In the Porsche, as you release the brakes, the rear tends to unload because of the pendulum effect. But this is a front engine car, so the style of rotation is very different. That to me equals realism. It may not be the most realistic, but it's real enough to trick the mind and give you a benefit that you can apply in real life. So in this car, with the engine in the front, we can go more rear bias, which I already have. Subaru behind me is definitely quick. This German guy is not slow, but I know that I really did smoke these guys in the Porsche, so I am missing something. 40.2, not good. Porsche David would be at least a second ahead already, and someone else has the fastest lap, also on a 40.2. So. Stop talking. I can't help but talk to you guys. It's weird how this thing behaves on the curves. Subaru made a mistake there. Try to get the rotation here with the braking. Much better. Slightly tighter lines. When you have an understeering car, turn in earlier. Simple. car is understeering, turn in early. Exit understeer too, so if this was real life, I would either change the rear pitch of the car, or I would open the differential a little bit on the power to get the better rotation on full gas, just to make the differential a little bit lighter. But at the same time, at that corner, I would close the diff. So in the slow stuff, I'd close it, at the high speed I'd open it. So you got to then see, okay, which corner loses me the most time? I suspect it's the high speed stuff, and I could adapt my driving style slightly differently in my line for that final corner. That would help me compensate a little bit. So one would require a driving style change, and the other would require a slight setup change. At the moment we can't do the setup change, so we have to do driving style for both. And there is the value in sim racing on games with fixed setups. Instead of changing the setup, learn to drive better. In the qualifying spec, guys are able to do low 38s with this car, so I'm nowhere near that. Better. That should be a better sector time. Let's see. Okay, so I wonder what happened to the definitely should have exited third gear. The Subaru, which I cannot shake at the moment, is making lap time. And this Mudgy on air, is that a Polish flag? Who's in 5th place, is banging in the fastest laps but not making any progress. I've taken those two corners, and that's probably because I'm not talking. 39.2 from the guy in 5th place. I'm nowhere near that. God. Woo-wee. Okay, so there goes any opportunity to set fastest lap, which is upsetting me. That's another weird one in the game. GT Sport, you can brake on the curbs quite aggressively and nothing happens. But in real life, if you do that, you're probably going to go off. It's better to have all 4 wheels stable on the ground than dithering over curves. Okay, so actually I give credit to driver of this race is Maggi on air, who I think finished, okay, 6th. He had the benefit of a slipstream for sure to set the fastest lap, but I still would have liked that to have been me, so. This sort of live stream, which sadly guys is ending soon, but you can rewatch it if you feel like, is a reflection of how I use Gran Turismo to practice. On most days I only choose one car and one track and just work on my own driving style, as opposed to switching between different things, because that's more like playing a game. Here I'm trying to you know, work out as if I was a basketball player just shooting hoops, you know. Why didn't I get a clean... Oh yeah, they tapped me. Okay, so please check out davidperel.net/sim for all my sim racing information, like the stuff that I use. And thanks for watching. Oh, he's already exited. No, is he still there? Okay, signing out from there, and also this live stream. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who are new subscribers and are watching this later. I will be streaming more in the future. Unfortunately, between now and at least the next 8 or 10 days, I have to go away to Bahrain to coach a driver in the GT Nations Cup. But I will be streaming as soon as I get back, promise you that. Maybe I'll sneak in one on Monday. Depends on the amount of time I have. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and catch you in the next one.